Hi everyone, welcome to our Treasure Home Saturday Night Live Bible Study. So, I was ring because I was gonna put some lotion on and I didn't. So thank y'all for being here. Thank you for the TV watchers and those who be in the chat and the replay watchers. I greatly appreciate it. And I just went in the kitchen to get my tea and I said to turn the light off and I forgot to do it. I will be right back. Alrighty. Well, my blanket's over here. Alrighty. So tonight we are continuing with the Proverbs 31, men and women. And let me put this in the thing. I was discussing some stuff. Hi TV watchers. Hi chat. Hi replay watchers. So it has been a week. It's been a busy week. Learning, doing things, and oh my goodness, and seminars and everything. So, doing all those things and everything, and I was like, I'm thinking to that, I was like, I got time. Like, I'm like, hey, Robin, how you doing? I'm like, I've got time, to write notes and everything else. Before I know it, it's Saturday, and I'm like, I am making notes. So we're gonna be learning this all together tonight. I'm like, oh my goodness. So something else. I have been wanting to do, and I think if anybody has any prayer requests, put them in the chat or put them in the description down below, then we will pray for you. Because I can't tell y'all everything because some things need to be private, but just pray for me, Anastasia, and her dad. That's all I can say. So I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So I haven't seen it, but this is part of something new from YouTube. And I have to go look and see if it's there. Of course, the ad is gone. So we'll get to Proverbs 31, chapter 31, verses 20 through 25 is what I'll put in a few minutes. Because this is something new, and I want to see, because I'll announce it in just a moment. But how you doing, Robin? Oh my goodness. Thank you, Robin. I appreciate it. And how's your unspoken prayer request? How is that going? Because I've been praying for that also. Well, I got an email from YouTube about being an affiliate partner with them. Can you believe it? I was like, what? I'm like, about the shopping thing. I'm like, I thought that was for something else or another. And no, it was for them. So I'm trying to see, because I was putting some things up and I was like, I was so excited. I want to see what I put if it was up. It's a bit. How it works is I'm also trying to see. Come on. Oh my goodness. All right, there it goes. All right. So I don't see it. Okay. I guess it's in the description. But in the description, there is a quiz. I put a quiz in there. The quiz is Proverbs 31 only for women or only for men? So if you click on that, you get to choose what your answer is. You get a choice. Women, men, young, 12 to 19, or both. Basically all. So, and you only get to choose once. I was the one to click on both, but it's for all. So I thought that was pretty fun of them put that being in there. And then I was trying to see anything else. Okay, so it's not. So I'll have to do a video to show everybody what's going on with that right there. So I thought that was pretty cool. So one thing I have learned for a long time ago, and I still kind of, struggle with it and everything. But one thing, the way to make the devil mad as fire is to stay happy. To be, even though, things going on the inside, things aren't like they should be, or you've been hurt or whatever. Just like Mountain Grandma Tammy says, don't let nobody steal your joy. So I have to remember that. It's okay to cry. 5, 10 minutes, whatever. Just remember, like they said, never let you see you sweat. You probably remember that growing up. That saying, don't let them see you nervous or let them see you sweat. And that was like, whether it be bullies or whatever, somebody making you nervous and stuff and everything, or getting you upset or whatever. That's where that saying came from. So, yes, tonight we can type whether should be able to change anything. Thank you, Robin. I appreciate it. So, I was going to show y'all what that temperature is. It says 2 degrees. Yeah. Weather for Lincoln Village. Conditions are clear with a temperature of 4 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 16 degrees Celsius. The wind is blowing from the southwest at 2 miles per hour, and the current humidity is 68%. So when I hear stuff outside and I look out the window, if y'all see me look up, I'm looking at the door and everything, kind of like giving it a weird look, like what's making that noise? It's like, it must be the wind. It's finally here. Oh yeah, so I'm talking about the weather because it goes along with these verses tonight. Because it's cold in some places, it's warm in other places. 50 miles an hour winds. Oh my goodness. Yeah, y'all got a negative 20, 22 somewhere along there. I know that weather. And I have some tea. I need to put some honey in there. So tonight you're talking about the weather. It goes along with these verses tonight, and everything. So we'll get to it in just a moment. But it's like, the weather, the Farmer's Almanac. I get things from the Farmer's Almanac, and it talks about the weather, and it had, I don't think I sit there and swiped it off. I think I still have it here. Yes. Okay. So I showed Anastasia this picture right here, this painting. It's a winter scene a long, long time ago by William Wordsworth. He was born in 1770 to 1850. So serene will be our days and bright, and happy will our nature be, when love is unerring light, and joy its own security. But he drew this painting, of my understanding, this is his painting, of the winter at that time. It doesn't look that much different than what our winter is now. I mean, if you, they had lots, they had harsh winters back then. And I'm just like, uh, I think, some things, like it all comes around full circle and everything. I mean, how winters are straightening themselves up a little bit. So, with that, Proverbs 31:20 through 25. She stretched out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reached forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, and when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. So that's why I was talking about the weather. Showing pictures about the weather. So snow has, always been. And, it's interesting, whichever one is writing this, whether it be Solomon or Zechariah, that they talk about snow. Now, I have to look it up, but I have heard, and I'm quite sure we've all heard, they said it can be cold in Israel, and they do get snow. And it's like, we don't think of that because of being a desert. So many places being desert and everything about getting snow or anything. But, if you think about it, here in America, we have desert places and they've gotten snow. So, it's cold enough to snow. So it makes you wonder, ooh, I wonder what was going on. So in verse 20, though, it says, she stretched out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reached forth her hands to the needy. So even though she's doing all this, she's, I would say, making money for the family, buying land and everything, she doesn't forget to help the poor and the needy. Now, that's two different things. So the poor, I have to go out that. In the Bible was like both material poverty, lacking food, shelter, resources due to misfortune, injustice, or poor choices, and spiritual poverty, humility, recognizing need for God, and spiritual emptiness. So she could have been doing both, either way. It just says she reached out her hand to the poor. So, and I'm thinking poor is, someone that's maybe lost a job or has to work two jobs, making ends meet is hard for them. But it also could have been spiritually, because we think of people poor in spirit, those who don't know the Lord, or just been saved and don't know a lot about the Bible and everything. that could be a poor in spirit because, God richly and blesses us in spiritual health and physical health. So, maybe somebody that's just been saved and she feels, they can be, spiritually emptiness. So she's going to help them learn about what she's been taught about Jesus and everything at that time. And yes, I'm itching. So, that's what that I said in the Bible. What does the poor in the Bible means? Everybody has their own. So if you go and Google it, it has many different answers. The Bible has a lot to say about being poor, and we have examples of poor people in Scripture. Since material wealth is not a sure indication of God's blessing, being poor not necessarily God's disapproval. In fact, it is possible to be poor in material things, but be rich in spiritual things, and that's in Revelation 2:9. So, of course, sometimes being poor is a result of bad choices. The Bible warns that laziness will lead to being poor. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcely like an armed man. So, Proverbs 24:33-34, and then 6:11. So I think it means both in this way. It could, as far as the Proverbs 31 woman, because we see that she's gone out. She is buying wool. She's buying flax. She bought land to make a vineyard, so that not only she is seeing things the way to expand her family, make money for her family, but she could have asked God to make a way that she be a blessing to others in the community to help them out. So then, what does it mean in the Bible of need? So, and it says here, they're trying to go with the same thing as poor. So I still say the same thing, lacking resources, food, social power, often due to injustices, oppression, or calamity. All right, so what I'm going to do, we'll go to the Amplified version and see if it says something else. All right, so Amplified says she opens her hand to the poor, yes, she reaches out her filled hands to the needy, whether in body, mind, or spirit. So I guess, it's like sometimes like a double negative. It's just like an emphasis of helping others. So she is there, as she is making care of her family and everything, she is making sure that others are taken also. And nowadays, it could be like giving to the church, your local church, or giving to a charity organization that goes out and helps people. I'm thinking of the one that helped everybody in North Carolina, and they still around. I can't think of my name. Joy knows who I'm talking about. So, you want to make sure it's a reputable reputation. And to make sure, you can give. So, like, you see St. Jude's all the time, their advertisement. What's another one? There's several different Christian organizations too. But you know, if you can't go out yourself and help, you can give in other ways. So we see that also. All right, so verse 21. She fears not the snow for her family, for all her household are doubly clothed in scarlet. Okay, now scarlet, we're going to look and see what that meaning is in the Bible. Because purple means royalty. Blue and purple are royalty. And that reminds me of a song I heard growing up. My dad had this walnut. And in the walnut, on the end, it had a little winder thing. But you pulled out the ribbon, and it had different colors on it. And the song goes, when I was a little girl, no higher than your knees, Mama bought a crown box, or you could say Dad bought a crown box just for me. I picked it up and opened them and looked way down inside. Those colors there reminded me of Jesus when he died. Red is the color of the blood that he shed. Brown's for the crown that they laid on his head. Blue is for royalty, which he wore so well. Yellow is for the Christian who's afraid to tell. I colored and I colored till those crowns were all gone. And now I am much older, those memories linger on. And when I see a little girl with a crown box in her hand, I'll tell her what those colors mean and hope she understands. Red is the color of the blood that he shed. Brown's for the crown that they laid upon his head. Blue is for royalty, which he wore so well. Yellow is for the Christian who's afraid to tell. Yellow is for the Christian who's afraid to tell. And tonight I was I'll admit I was that yellow tonight, but God gave me strength. So, all right. And the devil has all day long tried to, a seminar I was in all week, but today, watching and preaching all day long, distracting me. Then I was talking to Restream about the issues we had Monday night. Then I was trying to say it was my computer. I said, no, it's not my computer. So that was going on from 11 o'clock with the Restream from 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock this afternoon. I'm okay, Robin. I'm okay. I'll explain later. Thank you. Please pray for me. I'm in a situation I need strength and wisdom to handle. Karma, I think we all are. Dear Lord, we just thank you right now that we can come before you. That where 2 or 3 or more are gathered in your name, there you are also. And we just lift up those tonight with a broken heart. Those are going through situations that do not need to be going through them. That even though you know what they are, you said, and we will remind you what you said, that you say, touch not my anointed. Do no harm to my children, for vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And It may be hard to see that happen, but we know that you are the God that will take care of us. You are the God that had taken care of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. And Jacob was his name changed to Israel. And we just come before you now, Lord, in the presence of your courts. And we just ask that anything that's coming against us right now, that you will annul it and rebuke it and take it away, and that you will give us your presence and your glory, and your name be glorified, because you are the God that will take care of us and defend us. In Jesus' name, amen. So that was a song that I remember growing up, and I was just like, it just this verse just made me think of it. When it just says, "She fears not for the snow for her family, for all her household are doubly clothed in scarlet." So that's the Amplified version, and then the King James version. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. Now, I'm going to go find out the significance of scarlet in scarlet clothing in the Bible. You are welcome. Scarlet clothing and fabric in the Bible symbolizes a multifaceted mix of royalty, wealth, and honor, as well as sin, sacrifice, and blood atonement. So we think of that when it's like the walls of Jericho. When Rahab had asked the spies to remember her and her family when they come in, when Israel comes into Jericho to conquer Jericho, and they gave her a scarlet robe. You know, hey Heather, how you doing? Gave her that, said, hang this scarlet rope down from your window, and you and your family shall be saved. And I think, see, I almost did not do this tonight. So like I said, the devil has been fighting me all day long. How the meaning, the red, the scarlet, is a symbol so much for us as Christians and everything, but also, in the world, we can share what the color scarlet means. So we're going to find out that what this means. It says, so what I'm at is at the BibleStudy.org. What is the meaning of scarlet in God's Word? How did a thread dyed in this color turn into a thread of destiny? Scarlet has symbolized wealth and power, both political and religiously, since ancient Bible times, second only to purple. It was a status symbol in the mighty royal empire. Officers in Rome's army wore cloaks dyed as well as high-ranking non-military people. The flag carried by the Crusaders during the Middle Ages displayed a cross in scarlet. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll get some stuff. I gotta show you that fabric Monday also. So so scarlet, you think of, well, this is red, but red, scarlet, it means royalty, priesthood. Jesus has clothed us in scarlet. So as he is, he sits at the right hand of God. So his blood is scarlet, red, scarlet. He clothes us with his blood. So since the late 13th century, Romans Cardinals, who are high-level religious leaders in the Catholic Church, use scarlet for their ecclesiastical clothing. This color also plays a prominent role both in the flag of the old Soviet Union and the modern flag of China. Egyptians obtained this pigment for dyeing from their shellfish, while the Hebrews extracted it from the insect that infest oak trees. The color is so steadfast that it was one of the most difficult dyes to remove from clothing. The appearances of the color scarlet. The English word scarlet is recorded 52 times in 52 King James translations verses. It is found the most in Exodus 26 times, followed by Leviticus 5, Revelation 4, and then in Revelation 4 times. 6 out of the 52 appearances occur in the New Testament. The Hebrew words that together translate into this color English name are Tola and Shani. So Tola, Strong's Concordance, hashtag 8H8438, and Shani, Shaniy. Strong Concordance, hashtag 8H8144. Blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair. Exodus 25:4. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen and blue and purple and scarlet. With cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. Exodus 26:1. Watching on TV, hard to see chat on my portable monitor. My big broken the remote. Oh my goodness. I know. It's okay. I'm glad you did. We're here for you. Thank you. It's a mix of emotions because, like I said, the devil has fought me all day long about going out, and I thought for sure, I was like, because last week I did, and I scheduled all ahead of time and everything. I'm like, oh, I know I did. I did on StreamYard, and I looked and it wasn't there. And this is at 6 o'clock tonight. Like, oh my goodness, I didn't schedule it. Because normally I do my study on Thursday or yesterday, or Thursday or Fridays for Saturdays. And I'm like, it was just everything all week long. And I sit here and schedule, and I was like, oh, I just pull a bit here, kind of like a halfway do it thing. And the Lord just corrected me so fast. He goes, that's not you. Don't you dare do this halfway. So I scheduled it and went back in and fixed everything. And I'm just like, okay. And he was like, you hear that small, still voice saying, pick yourself up. Like they tell, like we used to hear, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Lift your chin. Don't let them see you cry. Don't let you see them sweat or whatever. Especially when it was like when you were being let go from a job. Or parents, people, whatever, were saying things to supposedly it was corrective criticism, but, actually really wasn't. And it's like, okay, just sit there and grin and bear it. Don't sit there, let them see you cry or situations like that. And it's like, I tried my best tonight not to cry in front of Anastasia. And she kept going, you all right? You all right? And I couldn't answer her. And then I said, no, I'm not. And so we have this nice little app. Yep, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. So it asks if you're happy, whatever. She goes, why don't you pick it tonight? Because I always ask her, how was her day? And so I did pick it tonight. And I picked sad. And she goes, why'd you pick that? I said, I can't tell you because I was told I couldn't say anything to you about it. So I had typed it out. So she read it. And yes, we have a camera in the living room. And at this point in time, I don't care anymore I'm going to talk about my God and how it's supposed to be and everything in this household with every breath I have. So I was like, it makes me think of Paul when he said, when I don't know the verse correctly or anything, but when you take this take the sandals off your feet, dust the sand off, and you keep on going. So, yeah, those little things were going through my head. It don't, and it wasn't. I don't say bad words or anything, but it was just the way the situation was. So, and I was just like, and I wasn't upset the whole time things were being discussed. It was just afterwards. I guess, when you cry over those stressful situations, afterwards, you cry. But yeah. And then it's just like all that going through that today, plus the restream. Oh, Heather, I was talking to restream for 8 hours today, trying to figure out what was going on. And then Karma comes in and I'm just like, okay, Lord, there is something definitely spiritually going on because I'm not the only one that's had difficulty today. So that's why I prayed what I prayed because I'm just like, okay, you know, God tells us enter his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. So we're thanking the Lord that we can come together. We can learn about these verses and everything. We're about the Proverbs 31 man and woman, and we're gonna sing praises, which I sung that little song. We might sing another song before too long. You just never know. So, and then it says, talking about the color scarlet. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. Proverbs 31, Proverbs chapter 1, verse 21. So, scarlet means royalty, wealth. And then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler of the kingdom, in the kingdom. Daniel 5:29. So all through the Bible, it talks about as being royalty and everything. So, and here, okay, it says that uses scripture can represent royalty. Daniel 5:7, chapter 16, chapter 29, Matthew 27, verse 28, Mark 15, verse 17, and chapter 20, John 19, verse 2, or the power to rule like a king. Revelation 17:4. It can also mean a person's sin or sinfulness. Isaiah 1:18. Prosperity. 2 Samuel 1:14. Proverbs 31:21. Lamentations 5:4. Revelation 18:12. Revelation chapter 16. Or a dedication to opposing God. Revelation 17:3. Scarlet was used extensively in God's wilderness tabernacle built by Moses. Exodus 25:4, Exodus 26:1, chapter 31, chapter 36, chapter 27, verse 16, chapter 28, verses 5 through 8, chapter 15, and etc. It was also commonly found not only in Jerusalem's temple, but also on the clothes worn to serve in it. It was an important part of the temple rites that cleansed lepers, Leviticus 14, and in ceremonies of purification, Numbers 19:6. Warriors also wore clothes of this color, Nahum 2:3. In the book of Matthew states that Pontius Pilate's soldiers placed a scarlet-colored robe on Jesus in order to mock him. The Gospels of Mark and John, so Mark chapter 15, verse 17, and chapter 20, John 19, verse 2 and verse 5. However, in their parallel reference, state that the robe used to mock the Lord was purple. So, you know, And I've been, let's see, I've been crying all week of a very mean person. My kids helped me. I know. Amen. I understand. And, you know, that's why I was sitting here and I was just like, I just forget it. I ain't doing it tonight. But see, that's that selfish me, I guess you could say, or pity me. It's more of a pity me than a selfish me. Um, because my mom, she could sit here, she cut you down with a knife, in her words, and then I would just feel like I would feel like nothing, and I'm like, I ain't gonna do nothing. I'll show them. I ain't gonna do. Get that kind of attitude, and it's like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, I'm just not gonna do anything. I wouldn't help with, clean the house, or I'll show them. They'll see how much I do around here, and I'm like, it took me years to learn I was not hurting anybody else but really myself. Um, because we think, that's like I heard someone say, you're mad at somebody else and you drink the poison thinking it's going to help them, and it's going to hurt them instead, but it's really doing it to yourself. So that's what I was like, all those thoughts going through my head tonight. And I did give some examples to my son about our family growing up and everything. So he understood after that. And I'm just like, you know, Anastasia, I watched this. Actually, I'll put it in the link. Let's see here. It's much prevalent, but that's not what I want. Now this channel has just started, but I really they have put the Bible. I don't want to say not cartoon form, but animation form, and I think they've done a great job. I've been watching it before I show Anastasia, and tonight's one's about Jezebel. So it's like, it's good. It's a good Bible lesson, and it does teach the principles of the story. And so, I was sitting there saying those things to myself all day long. And yesterday, all kind of, you hear things that people say, but all right, so we're on the YouTube platform. This, it can't do this, can't do it. Go search it up for yourself. If you hear another creator or somebody that you watch saying YouTube says this and YouTube says that, when you open up your YouTube studio, there are those videos there for a reason. You look it up yourself, because it will stress you out, very much so. And so I was going to kind of fixing some things and everything, but then I was like, I got this email from YouTube about being a YouTube affiliate. And I was like, okay. So I got it a couple of days ago. I was like, I really need to watch this to see what it's all about. Yesterday I didn't have time. And then I was like, this morning I didn't have time. I was watching a sermon, church service and everything. And then at the same time I'm watching that, Restream is emailing me back and forth. Oh, I mean, constantly. And I'm just like, I gave you the answer. Why can't you accept that it's your end and not my end? It works on this, it works on that, it works on Zoom, it works on Google Meet, it works on StreamYard, da 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 da. I went. And I'm like, at one point I just sat there and said, I just put I didn't even was on the phone, it was email. I was like, I set everything to the side, and I was like, no, the Lord, all right, whatever the devil is trying not me to get out of this today, he's trying his best. So I finally just like didn't answer them for a while because I know I need to hear something because it's just been one of those days. So finally, after all that, and my son got home about 5 o'clock because he was like half hour early. Hey, Misha. And his day was. We were talking about our days. I told him what was going on with Restream and everything, and he just shook his head. I'm just like, it's just like been one of those days. And I'm like, I know for sure. I sat here and I scheduled the live for tonight during like earlier this week. No, it's not there. Like, so I've been feeling that kind of like not depressed, but down. A little bit down in the dumps and everything because things like piling up on your lap and everything because this has got to be done and this has got to be done and this has to be corrected and that has to be corrected. And you gotta go fix this and you gotta go fix that. And I'm like, as far as videos done, I've got videos made. I just haven't had time to sit there and edit and put them up. It's just like because of other stuff. And I'm like, okay, something's got to give. So I made, like I said, I made the live. I scheduled it and I half hummed it. And I'm just like, as I'm sitting there, finished scheduling and looking at what I wrote, the Lord goes, that's not you. He goes, don't you accept that? I was like, yes, Daddy. You gotta hear the Father talking. No. Nancy Gill, go to StreamYard. She said if anyone wants to go live with her, let her know if that helps. Yeah, no, it's when I go live on my channel. So her and I talked the other night. So but it's for me to go live on my channel is my end. This thing we had situation Monday night. Or I couldn't see us on my screen, but we could, you could see, and I could see it on my phone. But it's like I'm up on YouTube, my camera's working, I can see myself on the screen, not the StreamYard. But they were trying to tell me, try Google Meet. Can you see yourself there? Because they were trying to tell me it was my camera. And I think they just did an upgrade. It didn't tell nobody. That's my opinion. So, so there's just like all this time. And then I didn't make any notes whatsoever. So my notes are live. I'm doing live notes. How about that? I'm just like, okay. So yes, when I say I understand, 9 times out of 10, I've been through it. The same with you or going through it. So yes, I do understand. So we were talking about the color scarlet, what it means. Now, they also talked about Tamara and Zara and everything. When she had the baby, she had twins. And when the first one came out, the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it around his hand to say he was the firstborn. And then and it came to, all right, so when Tamara, traveled, that one baby put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying he came out first. And it came to pass, as he drew his hand back, that behold, his brother came out. And she said, how hast thou broken forth? This must be a breach upon it. So, she can understand the one that was supposed to be coming out first. He took his hand out, and the way he said, either he pushed his brother out, but the other one was born first and everything. So it says, what is the meaning of all this in relation to prophecy? Judah was destined, according to the Bible, to be the royal tribe of Israel, from which rulers were the wise. Genesis 49, 8 through 10. It is through Perez, Pharez, descendants, the child literally born first, that not only King David is born, but also Jesus Christ as well. So that was talking about, so what I think what happened was the baby put his hand out first, God was saying, this is going to be the lineage of King David, whom Jesus is coming through. But he was not supposed to be born first. The other one was supposed to be born first. But God made a miracle happen. So I won't pay until I make some money. Plus, I have no extra right now. Tell me about it. I hear you. I know. Hold on for a second. So, yeah, how God works that way, the one that's supposed to be born first, um, he can't, that the other one put his hand out saying, no, this is, God saying, no, this is the one that I want my lineage through, and then the other one was born. So the color scarlet has been used so many times, and it still does. It is still, if you look at royalty today, they use purple, but scarlet is a lot. Flags, they were talking about flags also, how that is used. Now we have American flag, red, white, and blue, but there are flags that have the color red and scarlet in them. We think of our neighbors up north, Canada. They've got red in their flags. The quickest way I could think of to find this is go to my message, because they have a little tab that says flags. So like Canada. Oh my goodness, all these so many flags that have red in it. Besides us, and I don't know all the flags here, but that's okay. So, she closed her household when it's cold. And I think that's very interesting that it mentions snow, because she's not afraid of the snow. So that means they've had snow before. So they're used to having snow. They're used to the cold. They know how to, when we say, be prepared for the cold. Some people, some of us live in townhouses, apartments, RVs, and everything. We can have limited supply, but we know there's certain things we can get that could last throughout the cold. Or when now we have the weatherman that can sit there and tell us what the cold is going to be like, how the temperature is going to be, if it's going to be one day this way or one day that way. And they can see through the models and everything how the weather is going to be. So even if we only get things that can last a few days, it's better, to get those things. And even now, our federal agencies, FEMA and everything. September is National Preparedness Month. We have the cold season now. We've got snow and cold, the polar vortex and everything that comes down. And here comes the spring. It's going to be tornado time. Then in the summer, it's hurricane season. And in the fall, it's like, oh, wait a minute, what happens in the fall? There's this little There's this girl, she made a reel on Instagram, and she's taking the snow off her car. She goes, "We don't have hurricanes, tornadoes, or alligators. We don't have hurricanes, tornadoes, or alligators." So she's repeating to herself to be thankful for the snow because she doesn't have other things that happen, where she lives. So I was like, so we love that Anastasia and I will play that. I don't have I don't have hurricanes, tornadoes, or alligators or stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, see, that's what I liked about Virginia. For one thing, we had kind of like nothing. For a long time, there was no hurricanes nor tornadoes. We had snow, but we didn't have no earthquakes. That's what it was. No tornadoes, hurricanes, or earthquakes. So it's like, until 2003. I guess we had tremors but didn't feel it. But that day, I'll never forget that day. It was December, in the beginning of December. We had a 3.4 or 4.3 or something earthquake, and yeah, everybody felt that one. So, here, the snow. So we all know how to be ready for the snow. So she is prepared for that. And I'm not talking about preparedness. So I'm just talking about how she been working diligently with her hands. She got the wool, she got the flax, she's made clothing, she's got fine linen. Um, she got the vineyard that she has. So, and then in verse 22, she maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. So again, silk and purple are talking about wealth, status in the community. I forget when I go. The meaning. Oh, so okay, so high status, wealth, honor, often symbolizing dignity or divine favor. Purple dye was exceptionally costly, associated with kings, priests, and nobility, while silk represented luxury and fine craftsmanship. Together, they highlight nobility, such as Proverbs 31 women's industriousness or the adornment of the temple. I'm not looking for that. Okay, so fine linen. Is that I'm looking at the Bible Hub. But it says these pictures, verse pictures, the wife of nobility character in her home, highlighting both her resourcefulness, bed coverings, and her attire, fine linen and purple. These two fabrics are more the fashion statements. Scripture uses them to convey deeper truths. Symbol of purity and white art, meaning of fine linen. My phone died while I was washing my hair and I had to dry it. I'm back. That was okay. Okay. My karma. Meaning of fine linen. Symbol of purity and righteousness. Exodus 28:39 through 43 shows priests clad in linen, set apart for holy service. Revelation 19:8. Fine linen stands for the righteous acts of the saints, indicator of careful workmanship. Linen requires time-consuming process, so it reflects her diligence. Sign of God-honoring prosperity. Deuteronomy 22:11 links linen with obedience of covenant people. So the meaning of purple, symbol of royalty and honor. Judges 8:26. Mennonite kings wore purple garments. Esther 8:15. Mordecai's purple robe signals royal authority. a picture of wealth gained honestly. I think that's interesting. Acts 16:14. Lydia, a seller of purple cloth, was prosperous yet God fearing, marked of dignity befitting one who fears the Lord. In Proverbs 31:25 parallels this idea. Strength and honor are her clothing. So we'll get to that in just a minute. So I'm gonna try to put these links in here where I'm finding what I'm reading. So I get back to, and that been a lot to write down. And as right now, the saying is, being still like that. That's okay. So, so she maketh her coverings of tapestry. So we think of tapestry as drapes, your curtains, and everything. That's what we call them now. Hey, Lady Sky. So tapestry was used for a long time. I remember that growing up. It's time to change the tapestry at the windows. It was used. So doing all right. And so you know, oh yes, it is. So tapestry is your curtains at your window and everything. They can be heavy, they can be light. So you change them out throughout the seasons. When it's cold, you put the heavier ones up. When it's summer or spring and summer, you put the lighter ones up. So, she's making her own tapestry. So she's sitting there, making sure that her family and everything is doing okay. So then, verse 23, her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. So she has all the things she's done and everything reflects on the family, on him, because hey, he's walking, and he walking to the gates, and he sitteth among the elders. So it could be like going to church. When you go to church, um, and you got elders in the church, or or other people. It depends on what type of church you go to. When you all walk in, hey, he goes over there because they want him to come over there because they know, hey, well, his wife, have you heard what so and so's wife does, man? She's got the vineyard and she makes clothing and she's doing that. And she respects him. Because we learn about that. She does good to him all the days of her life. That's a lesson for me. So that's definitely something I got to learn. Maybe that's why I'm still single. Who knows? But that is on the other hand, you men out there. Is he doing good to his wife? Because apparently he is. Is he supporting her? You know, we gotta go back and look at King Lamel too, what his mother told him not to do. So, and it goes both ways. So he walks into where the elders are. You know, he is respected. He's held. He is known throughout the gates. So so a city with gates and everything. When he walks into the city, you know, so you got a picture in your mind. Back then, um, I guess they all lived in the city in the gates, but maybe some people didn't. You had a vineyard, you sure didn't live within the city gates because you had to have land. So they lived probably outside. So when he comes in, her husband, you know, she's married to a king. So she lives inside the gates. So maybe when he comes down and he's walking around his kingdom and he goes to the gates where the elders are at, you know, we gotta kind of like picture these things or a picture of where is he? Where is she at? Are they, it's kingdom out. So he's king. Is he really not going to live outside his kingdom? He's got to be living in the kingdom and in a castle, wherever he's living at. So she's living with him, but she's doing all these other things. But wherever he goes to sit with the elders, they know him. They know what his wife is doing. They know she has this vineyard. She's making clothes. She takes care of the poor and the needy. She's making sure the household is running right. It's like, wow. How, do we do that uh, as much as we possibly can? Some days are easier than others. Sometimes, but she also has maids. Oh, I'm not going to go there because of technology today. You can have a maid. Meet George Justin. Sorry. We were kids. I'm not going off from that. But it's like what I see nowadays. We used to think George Jetson was so way out far in the future. It's never happened in our lifetime. So, but she is sitting there, and so they respect him because she has this reputation now of what she does and everything. So, he sits at among the elders of the land. So that's a big, huge thing. The land is mass. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. So we're gonna find out what girdles mean in the Bible. So she's making the linen. That's what the flax is for. Flax is turned into linen, and then she sells it. So she's making linen to sell for clothing, or she's just making the linen to sell for other people to make their own clothing. I know. I never got that. I'm thinking about that. Dun, dun, dun. Jane, his wife. So, and then girdles. Well, we know as growing up what girdles are like and everything. So now I'm just like, what are girdles in the Bible? All right, so we're gonna find out. In the Bible. All right, so girdles in the Bible were essential, everyday belts or sashes worn around the waist by both men and women to secure loose flowing robes. So that makes sense. So, in biblical times, the girdle was an essential piece of clothing, serving both practical and symbolic purposes. It was a belt or sash worn around the waist, often used to secure garments and carry tools or weapons. The girdle is mentioned numerous times throughout the Bible, symbolizing readiness, strength, and truth. So I'm going to put this in the chat. So now we know it represents strength, alrighty. So verse 24, she maketh fine linen and sell it. So she just sells it. And delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Okay, so now we know what girdles are. It's a belt or a sash that will help them hold up their robes and hold their swords, whatever. A good thing to go see, if you don't have the app, it's on YouTube also. It's called The Chosen. And Dallas, I can't remember his last name, him and his wife, they sat there when they were making The Chosen. They sat down with a Christian Catholic, a Jewish priest, so he's Christian, and a evangelist, a theologian type. And they want to make sure they got everything as accurate as possible as it was when Jesus, at the time of Jesus, and everything from the clothing, you name it, and everything, and how they talked and everything. So, and you can see that. I think, and one of them is on Philip. All right, so Simon, Peter, and Philip. And I don't know, you see it on the men, they all have a sash or a belt around them. Now, Simon Peter, there were 12 disciples. Jesus called to help him. Simon Peter, Andrew, James' brothers, John, Philip and see, I gotta look that up. And Bartholomew. There were 12 disciples. Jesus called to help them. Simon Peter, Andrew, James's brother, John. There were 12 disciples. Jesus called to help him. Simon Peter, Andrew, James's brother, John, Philip, Thomas, Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, Simon Judas, and Bartholomew. He has called us too. He has called us too. We are his disciples. I am one of you. He has called us too. He has called us too. We are his disciples. We his work must do. So, not Simon Peter, but the other Simon, it goes like in about how Jesus called them and everything, and what they were doing at the time and everything. So don't quote me on this because I won't get it right. What the other Simon was doing, but he had a belt around him. He was carrying a weapon and everything, and it shows the Roman soldiers the same thing. Roman soldiers, they were dressed in gold and red, gold and maroon. So they had the sashes, to hold up their belts and everything. So, here it's like she is making those sashes, those belts and everything for people to wear, to use to hold up their garments and everything. We think of Little House on the Prairie when they used to, in the scenes where they were running, how they would have, the dresses they wore back then, they had to pull them up so they could run and everything. A lot of times when they went to go in the creek, they would pull their dresses up, but they would have a sash. They would pull them up and they would tie around their waist so they could pull the dress up and not get all the dress wet, but it'd be up to their knees so they could go and wade in the creek and catch fish and everything. So here is the same thing. She was making those. So she's making it in fine linen. She's taking it to the merchant. So it tells us what she made. She tells us that she made it out of fine linen because of her status and everything. That's what she has. But we know she got the linen because she has the flax. So she's making the linen from the flax. And she's going to go sell it. So that makes me think of Heather. She has gotten fabric. She's making fabric. Well, she's not making fabric, but she has obtained fabric. She is making aprons, and she's taking it to a merchant so she can sell it. So that's the same principle here. And then she made the girdles, which was the belt, the sashes, what we learned, and she takes it to the merchant to sell. Love to make linen. Instead of flax. So she is doing all these things. And the one thing I have not seen, and maybe I have overlooked it, is that she's not in a rush. Here we think we have to be in a rush to do everything, especially when it comes to a vineyard. Now, my understanding of a vineyard, it takes up to 5 years before you get a really good harvest of grapes to make grape juice, to make wine or whatever. So she is resourceful and wise in that she plants, grows, and provides for her family. Exactly. So, I forgot I had that thing that loves things. So, she is also patient because it takes time. She's got to wait for the wool. Well, they only shear the sheep once a year. So you got to wait a whole year before you can get that wool. And then, you've got to, I've seen it, they got to wash it, comb it, and wash it, and all kinds of that whole step process of getting wool to where you can spin the wool to make yarn. So she is a very patient woman on top of that. Because now it says that she planted the vineyard. She planteth a vineyard in verse 16. So, that 5 years, that's a lot. Then you got to prune and make sure it's taken care of. The whole time is growing in that 5 years. Prune those vines back with the vineyard. If the grapes are too small or whatever, do they take them? It's really neat. Oh, okay. Some can be sheared twice a year. Alpaca can be depending on the climate. Oh, that's good to know because I didn't know that. Thank you, Karma. So, that's pretty cool. So she's still, she got to wait 6 months for this alpaca. She's waiting 6 months, then another 6 months. So maybe she's scheduling time from between alpaca and between sheeps and maybe another type of wool and everything. So she's kind of like constant, on a cycle to having product come in. So flax, we know, grows. So you got to wait for the flax to grow and everything. So that's what linen is made out of. So she, was like, they didn't say in here how patient she was. Maybe that's the secret that God wants us to learn in this lesson about we don't need to be rushing when we feel like, oh my goodness, I can make this, am I running out of time? Do I, and you scatterbrain, you're going this way and that. So I think I felt like all week long because I'm trying to do the cookbook. I'm working on the channels, on both channels. I'm making notes. I've not taken using the castor oil anymore because I think I'm allergic. I'm quite sure it's a part of it's allergic to that. The itching is because I had some peanut butter. I shouldn't have had it. So I know. Well, I know the Peter Pan peanut butter is a no-go. Not to eat that anymore. And I just had a little bitty piece of it. Having the plan, staying on track, and being consistent. Exactly, Heather. Because beginning of the year, I made those goals and everything. And one thing I learned from last year was that I didn't have to try to do everything in January. I cannot cram everything in January. That's impossible. So, I set those goals, make a plan. What am I going to work on today? I've got that calendar right there on the wall, and I have not looked at it all week because I lost my focus on that. But the focus I was on was what I should have been on in the first place, which is Matthew 6:33, my favorite verse. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So whether I got some things done or I got none of it done, my first focus this whole week, because that was part of the webinars I was going to, was my focus was seeking God first. I want some reason or another to this week was that week seeking the Lord in everything and putting him first. I'm like, the other stuff will just fall into place when it needs to be. I do have progress on my cookbook because I got all the bread section done. I think I'm going to add a few more things in it, but for the most part, that was done. And that is a long process. I'll explain that like Monday or Wednesday. So, but it's like setting those plans, setting those goals, understanding that don't be hard on yourself if it's not met in a certain time, like the shirt that I'm sewing, because things happen. Sometimes you have to take things apart and redo them. And that's just the process. So, we have all these verses of how, she's done this, and this, and this, and this, and this. It doesn't explain how long it's taken her to do those things. That's for us, for those little nuggets, for us to go to look and dive into. God wants us to say, hey, here, this is what, but don't look at it as, she did all this in a month, or she did it all in 6 months, or something. We need to look how long it takes to plant a vineyard. How long does it take it to grow? They have snow. How long did it snow at that time? Was it snowing for 6 months? Do they have seasons like we do? Oh yeah. So I know I was proud that I had the bread section done. So I'll be talking about that, like I said, Monday or Wednesday. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So, it's like how long, she's gotta wait for this to process and that to process. So we'll see. How long does it take for a vineyard to grow? Okay, so a vineyard typically takes 3 to 4 years after planting for grapevines to produce their first harvestable crop. It's been one of those, and my jaw is offline tonight. While some fruit may appear in the second year, it is usually removed to allow the vine to establish a strong root system. A full, mature crop is generally achieved by the 4th year, so about the 4th or 5th year. So she planted it, she's got to wait. But in the meantime, they're pruning. So that makes me think of another verse, we are the vine and he is the branches, and God prunes us. It doesn't all take it that long. So I was like, oh my goodness. It's like, a little pruning here, a little pruning there, and it's like, okay. So, you know, that's one thing I was sitting there thinking, I was like, it doesn't say how long she had to wait when she was doing these things, or how long did the process take. And it doesn't say how long she lived. It says all the days of her life. So, I'm like, that's a promise about long life. And everything. And so, and then verse 25, strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. So, I'm talking about that with the colors purple and scarlet. Um, because talking about silk and purple was talking about it was strength and honor. So, sitting there, because we talked about how to talk about how she strengthened her loins, which is from your whole waist, from below, like the middle of your waist, down to almost where your knees. And she strengthened her arms. So she's strengthening her body, she's strengthening her spirit, and she has honor from her clothing. Um, because, you know, of the colors that, represents what they are. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. All right, so honor defines a high level of integrity, ethical behavior, and moral worth. Man, oh my goodness, my tongue is really tied up today. Manifesting a personal code of conduct, valor, honesty, or social reputation is used as a noun or a verb. So a noun is reputation or distinction, or a verb to respect or ward. Types include personal, family, or military honor. Synonyms include integrity, repute, and dignity. Antonyms include dishonor, shame, and infamy. It is deeply rooted in cultural codes and often associated with maintaining social standing. And of course, that's AI. So Merriam-Webster, honor, a good name or public reputation, respect that is given to someone who is admired, high moral standards of behavior, someone's word given as a guarantee of performance, something such as an opportunity that gives someone a sense of pride, a person of superior standing now used especially as a title for a holder of high office, one whose worth brings respect or fame, and that this was as a noun, an indication or symbol of distinction, such as an exalted title or rank. It says a verb, honored or honoring, to regard or treat someone with admiration and respect, to regard or treat with honor, to give special recognition to confer honor, to live up to or fulfill the terms to accept as payment. So when I said strength and honor is I have to go back to it. 5 years. And I'm talking about a vineyard is, yeah, they said for probably 5 years. I've heard 5 years for a vineyard. So strength and honor are her clothing. She's not lying about people. She doesn't go around and belittle people. She's not, I guess, gossiping about people. She's not, going and being whiny about someone hurt my feelings, but you're not going to go to that person and talk to them about what they did. So, she's making sure that people are telling the truth, that, if there's an issue somewhere, those two people come together and they talk it out. But I try to teach Anastasia, be a chum and hit the thumb. When you have a problem with someone, go to that person first and talk to that person. Then if it's not straightened out, everything, then you can go to someone and bring a third party in. But, that's the way I was taught, and that's what I try to do. Someone's doing something, go to that person, talk to them. They could have been having a bad day. You just don't know what was going on with them and everything. Could be all kinds of things could have been going on. And, I know that when, like I said, when my son comes home from work, we can tell when he walks in the door. Did he have a good day? Did he have a bad day? He'll tell us about his day, but I can tell by the look on his face. And I was like, okay, so, sometimes don't take a quick offense to things and everything. Sit down and, listen to what people are saying and everything. But, if someone hurts your feelings, go tell them. Hey, you hurt my feelings because you said such and such. Would you mean to hurt my feelings and everything? So, and that's strength too. We've been hearing that a lot. Strength through peace. Yeah, peace in the family, peace in the community. I think that's huge. God talks about us to live peaceably among all men as much as possible. And that is something we've been talked about. So as we come here, strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come. In time to come. All right, so in time to come. So I got to thinking about that. So the word shall, meaning of the word shall. And the first person expressing in the future tense, an expression of strong assertion or intention. So shall is a verb, past tense is should, present tense singular and plural, shall. Used to express what is inevitable or seems likely to happen in the future. We shall have to be ready. We shall see. We used to say that all the time. The kids are growing up. Are we gonna go blah blah blah? We shall see. I wasn't saying no, wasn't saying yes. We just have to see if we got time to go do whatever. Used to express simple futurity. Futurity. When shall we expect you? Okay, so you expected someone coming over. Used to express determination. They shall not pass. Well, we say this too will pass. Used to express a command or exhortation. You shall go. Used in laws, regulations, or direct us to express what is mandatory. It shall be unlawful to carry blah blah blah. All right, archaic, archaic. Will have to is must. Will be able to is can. We want to. They were talking about between the usage between shall and will. The shall is all right. So to express what is inevitable or seems likely to happen in the future. So shall in time to come. So I'm trying to expect determination. I want to look at the Cambridge Dictionary. Shall is a verb. Used instead of will when the subject is I or we. If you do that one more time, I shall be very angry. So, okay, so they just given examples. They're not really. We and shall model verbs. They're used with the base form of the main verb. They will go, or I shall ask her. Shall is only used for future time reference with I and we and is more formal than will. So, they didn't help us at all. So let me get back to in the Bible. It denies a promise from God usually. See, that's what I was. All right, so I'll have to go back. Let me do it this way. All right, there you go. Carmen, you got it. In the Bible, particularly the King James Version, shall is a model, modal, so, verb that signifies an imperative command, a binding obligation, a legal requirement, or a definite future certainty rather than a mere possibility. Woo! A definite future certainty rather than a mere possibility. It often denotes a promise or a decree from God that is bound to happen. There we go, Karma. Ooh, I love it. And uses and defined promises and prophecies. Shall is often employed in the context of God's promises and prophecies, indicating certainty and divine assurance. For instance, in Genesis 12:2, God promises Abraham, I will make you into a great nation and I will bless you. I will make your name great and you shall be a blessing. Here, shall underscores the assured future reality of Abraham's role as a blessing to others. Okay, so now we understand that. We're going to look up. What is the meaning of time to come in the Bible? So here we go. Time to come, or as time coming, refers to the future fulfillment of God's plans, covering both intimate events such as the ministry of Jesus and ultimate future events like the final judgment of his kingdom and eternal life. So, the fulfillment of divine promises, the messianic age. Okay, that's where that was going. All right. So the example they give was when the time had fully come, God sent his son, born of women, born under law. Galatians 4:4. All right, let's see here. Back to Proverbs 31. All right, so verse 25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. Okay, so this is a future. She is going to rejoice when that time comes. We don't know what that time is going to be, what that could be. It could be the vineyard coming to, waiting for the vineyard, her merchandise being sold, her fine linen and everything. So she's going to rejoice, whoever it is, in the future that's coming. I just thinking about something I wanted to look up. Oh my goodness. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Now, see, I had to go back and look what I was searching up because now I can stare. I know what I wanted to do. Okay, so the Amplified Bible says, strength, so this is verse 25. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and her position is strong and secure. She rejoices over the future, the latter day or time to come, knowing that she and her family are in readiness for it. So, whatever's coming. It could be the cold weather again. It could be she's ready for the harvest of the vineyards. The grapes are coming into harvest. It could be um, about her clothing, the wool and the flax. She knows that's a future thing. So if she gets it, she's going to be rejoicing because she knows then, you know, she can make clothing. She can make linen. Um, and in the meantime, while she's waiting for that, they're getting ready for whatever needs to be done. Whether you know they've got to wash the wool and sort it out, mill the flax when it comes so they can make linen. I mean, she's got land. We know she has a vineyard. Does she have land that grows the flax seed so she can take the flax and um, grow the grow the flax so she can do all that. I'm gonna get me some water. Look at the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt exactly shall not do that. Shall not do that. So I'm just So that's what. All right. So that's the amplified. All right. I clicked the wrong one. So even the New King James Version says, "Strength and honor are her clothing; she shall rejoice in time to come." So, but the NIV says she is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. See, I think that loses something there. I mean, yes, we know laughter is the best medicine, and we're told, we're to have a merry heart, So, but I think, when it says, so rejoice, I just out of curiosity. So, in the Bible, to rejoice means to experience a deep, abiding, and active joy rooted in God, His character, and His promises rather than the fleeting emotions or external circumstances. It is a deliberate choice to focus on spiritual realities such as salvation, God's presence, and victory, even during trials or pain, and is often commanded as a way to return to joy. The term rejoice in the Bible is often used to express deep, heartfelt joy and gladness. It is more than mere happiness. It is a profound sense of joy that is rooted in spiritual realities and divine truths. The Hebrew word often translated as rejoice is samach, S-A-M-A-C-H, and the Greek equivalent is charo, C-H-A-I-R-O. Both convey a sense of exultation and delight. Biblical context: rejoicing is a recurring theme throughout the scriptures, reflecting that joy comes from a relationship with God, His promises, and His works. It is both a command and a natural response to God's goodness and faithfulness. So, she shall rejoice in the time to come. So, like I said, rejoicing, it could be, oh, I think I'm done sewing for the night. Make a dent. Making a dent. That is good. I understand. Sometimes, and then that's something else we need to, talk about. Do, and learn that, like there's a stopping point because we definitely need to rest and everything. That's not in here either. It doesn't tell us she took a break. It just shows all the things she's doing. Da 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 da. And it's like, when does she sleep? You know, I'm quite sure she slept. Um, there's nobody I know that can stay up 24 hours, 7 days a week, how the week was for years and years, So there's also, you know, we gotta look there. She takes time because even though it says she, even gets up in the middle of the night to take care of her family. So that means that she does sleep. So, so there's times you got to take those breaks, you go to sleep, and figure how much sleep you need. Do you need 8 hours? Can you do it on 6 hours? Some people need more than that. Some people do it less and everything. So rejoicing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. So she's rejoicing in all things. So, because tells us to rejoice in all things. So she's, joyful. She knows where her joy comes from. She's going to be joyful in a time of waiting and a time of harvest, and in between those times. So I'm like, that's a lot packed in those 5 verses. I am putting wristlets, small bags, and key fobs in a handbag. Several different types. Oh, that's so cool. It's awesome. Well, we can't wait to see that Monday night. Yeah, definitely. So, you know, yes, even though most of it talks about the woman, the Proverbs 31 woman, we do know that verses 1 through 10, it talks about the men. And, you know, and then here at the from 26 through 31, you know, oh my goodness. It was always something around our house growing up. Trying to work my tail off, so hopefully it'll pay off. We understand that, definitely, you know. But, here, it is, we need to rest because God didn't make us to, be a 24-hour, 7 days a week work, 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 work. And, because even Jesus modeled that for us. He rested. He went, they took a rest. He took a rest. He went to spend time with the Father and everything. So I'm quite sure she rested because, talking about rejoice in the time to come. So there's a waiting period for things and everything that we need to, think about too. So, but yeah, I think that's been a very interesting study. Um, I've been thinking about, I want to see about I was telling everybody at the beginning. So now they put in there where you could put, well, I never had it, but you could put quizzes in the description. So I put a quiz in. Is Proverbs 31 only for women or only for men? And the choices are women, men, young, 12 to 19, or both. So I should have said or all. And you only get the chance of one, so you can click on one. So when I answered, I accidentally hit women. I wanted to click on both. So I've been putting that going back and putting in some of the. We had some good time. We had some good wine at times too. Yeah, I know. Yes, it will. It will pay off. Definitely. Before you know it, they're going to be having orders. You're going to go, oh my goodness, how am I going to keep up? You just have to get some people around the house to help you out with the chores and everything. And so next Saturday will be the last of Proverbs 31. And close that up. And I have a list of things to talk about, of subjects. Well, not subjects. So it's a list of people had asked about doing a study on. And one of them is Genesis in the beginning. So I have been talking to Anastasia about this um, because, you know, there's a controversy in my house about, how can I say this? When God cursed Adam and Eve and everything, and, you know, about Eve. And it doesn't say he cursed her. He just tells her that she had, from then on, she would have pains when she has labor. Got my raised bed all pruned and ready. Back garden is ready except for the tilling. Getting there. Gotta work on the secret garden before a tour in May. Ooh. So, did Eve give birth in the Garden of Eden? That's my question. So we'll be looking about that. And there's some other things about the names of God to go back over, and because I think there was some I hadn't done. So we'll be looking at that. In the book, I had it written down. I think it's underneath the desk. So there's quite many subjects. I probably might do a poll to see which one everybody wants to hear about next and everything. But I always that's the questions that I have. you know, okay, Lord, you see that, and just as you said, this, and this. Does that mean that they had kids before they left the Garden of Eden? And that's an interesting question. I would like to know. Oh, I know. Dog ain't even talking about a garden yet. We still got like 8 inches of snow up there. I got some of my reel from yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday. We got another 2 to 3 inches up there and everything. So it's like everything that my son cleared off, the sidewalks, the porch, the parking lot, they got covered. And so, and pray for him. He slipped and he fell yesterday on the ice as he was just walking across the parking lot, and he landed on his hands, so he caught himself. So I can't plant until beginning of April. Yeah, it looks like that's when I will be doing mine too. Because I've been watching the weather, and they said, March looks like it's going to be, you know, snow also. I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. I don't know. We'll have to take some and package up and send it to Joy and Donnie so they can have snow. And some to Heather. May 15th for us. Can't you? I did cold weather crops and they did not do anything. Good night, Misha. Oh, I know. You've been with her grandbaby. That's right. Did Misha, sorry for me to say that. Yeah, see, I started. Yes, Misha is a grandma, a Grammy. They had a little girl. It's so exciting. So, but yeah, I'm getting to get off here in a few minutes. But yeah, I did a cold weather crop and nothing. Um, except the oregano, which is under 10 inches of snow. Glammy here. That is awesome. So, well, thank y'all so much for being here. Thank y'all for the TV watchers and the chat and the replay. I've enjoyed this study. So, y'all have a wonderful and blessed night. God bless. Stay safe. We love y'all. And we'll see you Monday night on Our Treasure Home.